How Not to Write a Police Report by Jean Reynolds. Writing police reports takes time and effort. There are two basic ways to write a police report: the right way and the wrong way. You've probably spent a lot of time learning how to do reports correctly. So, just to be different, let's talk about how to write a bad report. Rule 1. Be out of date. Police practices have changed in recent years, but why should you change with them? Make your report sound quaint and old-fashioned. Rastomi related that upon his return to the aforementioned residence, he made the observation that the forwardmost point of entry was unsecured. Don't be modern and professional. Rastomi told me that when he came home, he saw that the front door was unlocked. Rule 2. Always use passive voice. It gives the impression you've done nothing on your shift. Isn't this report amazing? It sounds like the search and arrest happened by themselves. The car was searched and a Smith Wesson revolver was found in the glove box. A small brown paper sack full of cash was found in the trunk. Wiggins was placed under arrest and read his rights. Passive voice is great for creating confusion during a court hearing. A revolver was found in the glove box. Who found it, officer? You or your partner? I don't remember. Active voice shows exactly who did what, but why make life easier for yourself and everyone else? We searched the car. I found a Smith Wesson revolver in the glove box. Officer Oahu found a small paper sack full of cash in the trunk. I arrested Wiggins and used my Miranda card to inform him of his rights. If your report doesn't state who did what, the judge might reschedule the trial until you can figure it out. Rule 3. Be vague. You'll make it easy for a defense attorney to challenge your report. I observed the car being driven recklessly in the left lane heading north on Highway 78. If your report is precise and factual, like the version below, a defense attorney might not want to take a chance with a court hearing. What fun is that? I saw the car swerve rapidly from the left lane to the right lane 3 times in less than a minute, heading north on Highway 78. Rule 4. Repeat yourself over and over and over and over and over. Keep going. Hokanen told me he looked out his window and saw an unfamiliar car parked on his lawn. I asked him what he did next. He said he realized some college kids next door were having a party, and one of them probably parked the car there. I asked him what happened next. He said he went next door and talked to some young men who were drinking beer in the backyard. I asked him what he said to them. He said he described the car and asked the owner to move it. Here's a more concise version. Hokanen told me he looked out his window and saw an unfamiliar car parked on his lawn. Some college kids next door were having a party, and one of them probably parked the car there. Hokanen went over and asked the owner to move the car. But what's wrong with repeating yourself endlessly? You have nothing better to do, right? Rule 5. Make lots of grammar and spelling mistakes. Wouldn't your high school English teacher love to read a report written like this? Me and Officer Jenkins didn't see no one when we walked into the living room. It takes time and effort to use good grammar and spelling like this. Officer Jenkins and I didn't see anyone when we walked into the living room. Rule 6. Use police jargon instead of simple words that everyone understands. It's fun to confuse juries, attorneys, reporters, and citizens who are trying to figure out what you mean. The AO called for backup, and I proceeded to the scene. The AO told me that after he administered an FST, Fagan began to argue about the DUI charge. This version is much easier to read, but who cares? The arresting officer called for a backup, and I proceeded to the scene. The arresting officer told me that after he administered a field sobriety test, Fagan began to argue about the driving under the influence charge. Rule 7. Use texting abbreviations whenever you can. Sure, it looks strange, but your supervisor will probably get used to it. Before I entered the house, I heard a man's voice say, "You know I can't wait until tomorrow for the money. Give it to me now." Nobody writes professional sentences like this anymore, do they? Before I entered the house, I heard a man's voice say, "You know I can't wait until tomorrow for the money. Give it to me now." Let's review what we've learned about writing bad reports. Rule 1, be out of date. Rule 2, always use passive voice. Rule 3, be vague. Rule 4, repeat yourself. Rule 5, make lots of grammar and spelling mistakes. Rule 6, use police jargon. Rule 7, use texting abbreviations whenever you can. Of course, you could decide that all this bad advice isn't for you, and you want to be as professional as possible. That means putting time, effort, and brain power into your reports. You can learn more about report writing at yourpolicewrite.com. All the resources there are free. And if you're looking for a low-cost, practical book, Criminal Justice Report Writing is available from Amazon.com for just $17.95. View a free sample online. A free instructor's manual is available to instructors and administrators on request by sending an email from an official account to jreynoldswrite@aol.com.